Being a diehard Halloween fan and collecting the franchise now for almost 2 decades, I get asked a lot, Nick, what's your favorite edition of each Halloween movie? Well, I'll show you. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick here from the Lost River Drive-In, and if you are unhealthily obsessed with the Halloween franchise like I am, this is the channel for you, so make sure to subscribe if you are new here. Now, for all of you guys that may not be new here, you know that I'm a diehard collector of this series, and every year I do an updated collection video where I show you my collection as it stands at that current place and time. This is not that video. I always do that in October. This video is a video I've actually never done, which is me giving you my favorite edition of each Halloween movie that I own. Now, before I get into this, I want to ask you guys for your feedback. If you want an addendum to this video, a follow-up video of the best edition of each Halloween film that I own, in my opinion, let me know in the comments section. This is just simply my favorite one and why. And you're going to notice the common theme here is nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. So starting things off, we've got the 2007 Anchor Bay DVD release of the original Halloween. This is my favorite edition of the original Halloween that I own. And it's very simple. It's the first one that I ever got. This started my collection. I got this at Walmart in early 2007, and it's what started it all for me. It's crazy to think that it's been almost 2 decades now, and this thing has seen so many moves and so much wear and tear, and I was definitely a little more careless when I started collecting this series, so it's got its battle scars. But it is the slipcover, the holographic slipcover, which I know many people talk extensively about how they love those. There's this whole thing in the film community space where people are like, oh, slipcovers, I love them. Then it's a clamshell case, and you open it up, and it's got the chapter insert and just the DVD in here. Now, this does have the Halloween Unmasked documentary from 2000, which is about a half hour long, and it's a fun watch, it really is, but at this point in time, it's nothing you haven't already seen before. But like I said, this is my favorite edition for each Halloween movie I own, not the best edition to own. Now, like I said, it started my collection, so the nostalgia runs deep here. But honestly, it's not a terrible DVD transfer. It's got okay special features. You could do far worse, but of course you could do far better. So it's not the best edition to get, but it's definitely my favorite edition of the original Halloween that I own. Next up is going to be what my buddy Christian calls the Scarface cover, and that is Halloween 2. Now, this is the Universal DVD from 2001. Now, this is interesting because this is also the first edition of Halloween 2 I ever owned. And I believe it was the second movie in my collection. Like, this was the one I got right after the one I just showed you. So, the nostalgia, again, runs deep there. I'm going to let you guys know, it's not the greatest DVD transfer. It's absolutely bare bones. No special features whatsoever to speak of. There's like a trivia thing and like a still gallery. Like, who cares? Whatever. I think the trailer, too. Oh, my God. And a trailer. Yeah. Run out and get this. No, but it is just really nostalgic for me. And there was always something really crazy about this Scarface cover. Like, why? I don't know what the impulse was there to do that, but I kind of love it. But it gets even better because they doubled down on the disc art. So yeah, again, not an edition you need to go out and get, but one that I hold very near and dear to my heart for obvious reasons. Now, next up, this is a double feature, but I chose this for a reason. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. This is the Universal double pack. It came out the same year as the DVD that I just showed you guys. But the reason why this is the one that is my favorite edition of Halloween 3 that I own is because this is the edition, this is the disc from the very first viewing experience I ever had for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. When I had begun collecting this series, I pretty much got them in chronological order. I got this third after the first two I just showed you. And I had never seen Halloween 3. Obviously, growing up, I had seen the Halloween movies, Michael Myers one specifically, but I had never seen Halloween 3 because my mom told me to steer clear from it. Well, I bought this at Walmart for like $5, and this was the first time I ever watched Halloween 3. So, bare bones, there's no disc art and no special features, but that disc is the first time that Nick can ever remember watching Halloween 3. It was on this disc. It's kind of like history. I don't know. It's kind of weird, isn't it? But it's pretty cool. And yeah, I love it. Now we're getting even more retro with this next one. And that is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, the CBS Fox VHS. Now, not only is the CBS Fox VHS of Halloween 4 not super easy to find, you can find it, but it's not cheap for a VHS. Now, it's not ungodly expensive, that's not what I'm saying, but with this being an obsolete form of media, it's decently priced for this version, and that is because it's the version to get for Halloween 4 when it comes to nostalgia. Like, this is, I vividly remember, it's not the first edition of Halloween 4 I ever owned. I got this years later. But I remember seeing this out in the wild when I was a kid. I remember it. And because I remember this spine art. I just remember that. I remember the CBS Fox up there. And it's even harder to get them in good condition. The only thing that's really wrong with this one is like the top is a little like, kind of raised a little bit there. But like very good condition for what I paid for it. I think I paid like $15 for this a couple years ago. Now again, you guys might go, well, that's not expensive at all. No, but for a VHS it is, especially for the fourth movie in a slasher series. But yeah, a lot of nostalgia here because I just remember seeing this specific edition of this movie out in the wild in the late 90s when I would go to Blockbuster and stuff. So it's really cool to finally own this years later and be able to display this on my shelf and just kind of take myself back to that. So the CBS Fox, Halloween 4. Next up is going to be the 2000 DVD release from Anchor Bay for Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, being my favorite edition I own of it. And why is that? Well, it's fairly simple. First of all, I have always really loved this, how they reversed the 5 and Halloween, the colors. On the poster, Halloween is in white and the 5 is orange. But on this DVD, it's reversed. And I always felt like that was cool. It was really unique. But, and well, I shouldn't say but yet, because you also get a chapter insert. And guys, when I was a kid and a teenager and I would get these movies and it came with a chapter insert, I felt like I had a little poster. And I don't know, it is so weird, but I loved it. And I still, to this day, I kind of nerd out about that kind of stuff. But the reason this is my favorite is because of this. You slide this out, and it's got a whole write-up about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And I've always felt like that was really cool, because you just don't see movies do that kind of stuff anymore. You don't see them include something like that. And that's really cool. I mean, I don't know. Again, I understand that it's really more for nostalgic purposes, and there's absolutely no, point to having that. But I remember being a teenager and buying this and realizing that was on the inside and reading it, being like, oh my god, I got inside info on Halloween 5, and it came with a mini poster. I'm in heaven. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story is younger Nick would get easily excited about anything Halloween, and so does older Nick. Next up is going to be, again, heavy theme here, nostalgia driven, my favorite edition of Halloween 6 that I own, which is the bootlegged eBay.com Halloween 6, The Producer's Cut. This was an early 2000s baby that I got when I was 14 for Christmas one year. I want to say, no, maybe 13. I might have been 13. I'm trying to remember now. Got this for Christmas. My mom paid a pretty penny for it on eBay. This was almost 2 decades ago. So this was before we had a good transfer that was out there that was readily available to the public. This was back in the day when you had to buy a burned copy of it online. And I love that about this. Now, of course, when I open this up, I mean, look at that. It's got printed on disc art with a Michael Myers action figure. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. But the reason that this is my favorite edition of Halloween 6 is because it's the first time I ever saw the producer's cut footage. And although it's super grainy and just absolutely terrible, you can see enough. You know what you're watching. It looks like you're watching something on an old box TV in the 1970s on VHS, but you can still see what it is. And it was just really cool to me. I was just over the moon that I was finally seeing this footage that I had heard years about and never seen. But the other reason is because it actually had special features on it. And at the time, no edition of Halloween 6 had special features. None of them. This has trailers, including the Halloween 666, The Origin of Michael Myers trailer. It's got behind-the-scenes footage, on-set footage. It's like 30 minutes of on-set footage of them filming sequences, not documentary. It's like in the sense of like, oh, we're going to cut away and do an interview. No, it's literally just like almost like the camera that was filming them on set. It's really, really cool, and it's so 90s. You've got a featurette about the making of. You've got an Entertainment Tonight featurette when it was featured on Entertainment Tonight. You've got an in-depth look at Thorn. It's really, really cool. Like, there's a shitload of special features on here that was just compiled from the internet. And, you know, things that were airing on public, you know, national TV at the time, like the Entertainment Tonight feature. But that was really cool to me because I had never seen behind the scenes for Halloween 6, and I'd never seen the producer's cut footage. And I had both on one disc, and I will always cherish this. Next up is going to be the Dimension Collector's Series of Halloween H2O. Again, the first edition of Halloween H2O I ever owned, but there's a nice little story here. So it's a clamshell box case, and in here, you see that there is a chapter insert. And wow, oh, so Nick must have been really excited. Let me tell you a little story about this here chapter insert. Rebel me when I was a teenager, this did not come with this. I was at a store one day. I can't even for the life of me tell you what store it was. I think it was a Suncoast, actually, believe it or not. And now that I'm thinking about it, because it was at the mall. But I remember they had editions of Halloween H2O that were like used. And I opened one of them and I saw that they had chapter inserts. So I took the chapter insert out of one of those and brought it home and put it in my DVD. That is a honest to God true story. So it did not come with this chapter insert, but they were supposed to. So I feel like I got screwed. So, you know, it was just balancing the scales, okay? On here, you've got Unmasking the Horror, which is a little under a half-hour making of documentary. You've got a trivia game, and you've got the Creed music video, which is just awesome. Like, come on. That's the only special features you get. But, again, the first edition of Halloween H2O that I ever owned, and the chapter insert that is in here but didn't initially come with it, is just part of what adds to the charm of this edition and why it's my favorite one I own of H2O. All right, so next up, this is a funny story, and if you guys are not new to my channel, you'll know this story as well. Halloween Resurrection. This is the original DVD release of the movie. It's the first one I ever got of Halloween Resurrection on physical media, and it is my favorite that I own of Halloween Resurrection because I had the first 7 movies. Rob Zombie's movie had come out, but it wasn't on physical media yet. And I was like, I have to get Resurrection. Like, I have to complete it. I have to have all 8. And so I went to Blockbuster, my local Blockbuster. This was in the mid-2000s. Yeah, it was 2007, so mid to late 2000s. And they had it. They had this copy of it. And I rented it. I had no intention of ever bringing this thing back. Not at all. I paid the late fees or whatever to eventually end up owning it. But I rented it to have it. And I was actually worried going there because I was worried it was going to have that art just where it says like Blockbuster Video, but it doesn't actually have the poster on it. And I was like, oh, I don't really want that to be the first edition of Resurrection I own, but you know, whatever, let's go find out. And to prove my story to be accurate, it has the category on there. Horror, you know, because how they categorize things at Blockbuster. And it even has like an item number, which is really cool. So this was the first edition of Resurrection I ever got. I got it from a Blockbuster. It's the last thing I ever got from a Blockbuster. So it's also another reason why I hold this version really near and dear to my heart. And it did come with a chapter insert. Of course, you have to have it. So again, like with H2O, I feel like I just got screwed on that one. But yeah, this is absolutely my favorite version of Halloween Resurrection. And kind of puts me in a time capsule. Next up is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2-disc unrated collector's edition DVD. This was the first version I bought of Rob Zombie's Halloween. Rob Zombie's Halloween was the first Halloween movie I remember seeing in theaters. My mom tells a story that we saw Resurrection as like a double bill at a drive-in when I was a little kid, but I'm pretty sure if that is a true story, I had fallen asleep because that was the second movie, so I have no recollection of that. But I guess technically I was there. But this was the first one I have recollection of, and this was the first edition of Rob Zombie's Halloween I bought. And the funny story is, I had seen this in theaters. So when I bought this, as soon as it came out and I watched it at home, I was seeing things and I was going, this was not in the movie that I saw. What the hell is this? That was before I'd really grasped the director's cut, the unrated director's cut thing. I didn't really know what that was at the time. I was 13 years old. So now I own the theatrical edition and all that kind of stuff, and I know the differences. But at the time I didn't. So it really kind of threw me for a loop. Another really cool thing about this edition, and I believe I have since taken it out. No, I haven't. It came with this, which is a eMusic 35 free music downloads little Halloween thing, which I don't know what. I would assume for like an MP3 player and stuff back in the day. But I kept that in there. Thought that was cool. Again, a place and time that it takes me back to. But this was just one that I don't know. I just have a lot of nostalgia for this movie, even though I'm not the biggest fan of this first one now. And specifically the first experience I had watching the unrated director's cut and being so confused. This is definitely my favorite edition I own of Rob's Halloween. Next up is going to be the theatrical edition DVD of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And this thing has a scar on it. And that is right here, where you can see that the actual like paper itself on the inside has a little bit of a rip. And that is because I've told this story before. I had an entertainment center years and years ago that collapsed when I was a teenager. And this was on the shelf. And when everything fell down, it dented it. Well, it didn't dent it. Well, it dented the case that it was in and then kind of ripped the paper. So I switched the cases, but the paper got a little bit of a scar there. And the reason I picked the theatrical, this is not the first edition of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 that I owned. I remember I called, well, I didn't call because it's not like a job. I told my mom I was sick the night before it came out on DVD because I was going to go to Movie Gallery, which was about a mile away from my house. So she went to work. I was homesick, walked up to Movie Gallery and got the unrated director's cut. But again, still didn't really understand the difference. Got home, watched it, and was super confused by it. Tracked this bad boy down. I called all these places around my city till I finally found one. Had my brother's friend drive me there to get the theatrical edition because I said I have to have that edition. That's the edition I saw in theaters. That's the edition I loved. So I don't know, just the story behind it. It's the reason why it is my favorite. And I still have my movie ticket in there from opening night, which I don't know. I just, and ever since then, I've kept movie tickets for movies that I love, not for ones that I hate. But yeah, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 Theatrical Edition DVD, my favorite I own. Now for the David Gordon Green trilogy, it's probably best to just show you the set, because those movies only have a few editions for each one, and there's nowhere near as much variety as there is for the previous 10 films. So my favorite editions that I own of 2018 Kills and Ends is the Halloween trilogy box set, the Steelbook Collector's set. And again, I have to give a massive shout out to my buddy Chris Cullen for sending this to me. And it's just, again, with not as much to choose from, it's gotta be this set. Like, it just has to be this set. It's gorgeous. And for nostalgic purposes, it's simply just because, I don't know, like, it's just kind of a reminder that, you know, what you do on YouTube and stuff as a content creator sometimes really means a lot to some people. And that really means a lot to me, that so many people care. And the fact that, and I've gotten some great things over the years that you guys have mailed me, and it means the freaking world to me. Like, it really, really does. So the fact that, you know, one of my viewers got me this, and I'm happy to call Chris a friend, and it just really does mean a lot to me that somebody would do that, because at the time I was going through it, and I couldn't afford it when it came out. I mean, I could have, but it would not have been smart. Financially for me. So the fact that one of my viewers and friends had my back really meant a lot to me, because I'll cherish this thing forever. And yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous set. Like, the steelbooks in and of themselves, if you guys know anything about me, I've talked ad nauseum that I'm obsessed with steelbooks. Like, I can't get enough of them. So to have a steelbook set that is also steel is just, like, legitimately incredible. And for me to have the nostalgia for it that I do, it just really means a lot to me. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, guys, these were just going to be my favorite editions of each Halloween movie that I owned. And like I said, it was mostly going to be nostalgia driven. Having said that, I want to add an addendum video if you guys want to see it. If you want to see another video like this, but you want me to tell you the best edition to own of each Halloween film in the series, please comment down below. Let me know, and if so, I will do that addendum video. I thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new to my channel and you just found me through this video, welcome to the Lost River Drive-In. Again, I'm a huge Halloween fan. I have years and years and years of Halloween videos on my channel, whether it's collection, news, reviews, reactions, whatever it might be, I have it all on here. So I thank you guys so much for supporting me as always, and I thank you again, Chris, for sending this to me, and all of you guys that support me. It really does mean the world to me. I love you all. I need to go to sleep. I am tired. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am pulling out.